It is our last day together.
What a wicked week, man. It's sick.
And we got some shades going on. Bye, James.
Bro, it's been
Bye.
so lit. It's been so lit.
Until next time.
Peace.
That's it.
Bye, Brad.
Yeah, Brad. Hey, guys.
Peace. We didn't shoot any vlogs, but if you want to check out some behind the scenes of our Vegas shenanigan, Atola Visuals will have an epic vlog. And our bro, James Matthews, freaking, I can't wait to see his vlog. It's gonna be awesome. So links to their vlogs in the description box below. And yeah, see you guys back at home. All right, finally back at home, and the one thing that I want to see the most is me. Sony a7III. Let's go unbox this. Woo! What a crazy 2 weeks it has been for me. So the past 2 weeks of April, the first 2 weeks of April, I was just traveling a lot. First week of April was in Mexico with Sony and Sammy's camera, and Scott Robert Lim had a total blast. Got to shoot with the Sony a7III for about 4 days and got a lot of great materials that I want to share with you guys. And in the second week of April, I was in NAB, which is like the largest video broadcasting convention out here in the US in Las Vegas, but I actually got to hang out more with the awesome video creators from YouTube that you guys saw at the beginning of this vlog. So it's just been a crazy past couple of weeks of shooting content with the Sony a7III and of course shooting with some amazing creators. So this video right here obviously is not a full review on the Sony a7III, it's just my quick impressions on it. Now I'm hoping to get this full user experience review on the Sony a7III by the first week of May, and I'm planning to tie it in with my Sony a7R III user experience review because honestly, both of these cameras right here are very similar. They have some unique features in their own way, but for the most part, the user experience with them has been very similar. So I'll definitely talk a lot more about both of these cameras and dive into more details in the user experience review. But for now, I just want to get out some quick impressions on the Sony a7III, especially since a lot of you guys did DM me on Instagram asking me what was it like using this camera. So hopefully I'll address a lot of the questions in this video. So let's go ahead and get started. Overall, the Sony a7III is a very solid camera. It's giving what a lot of people want. Dual SD card slots, bigger and better battery, faster autofocus, log profiles, and of course 4K up to 30 frames per second. This is honestly the best full frame camera to get that is under $2,000. So let's talk about the autofocus really quickly. If you're coming from a Sony a7 II, the autofocus on the a7III is light years better. Now, if you're shooting with the newer cameras like the a7R II, a6500, a9, then the a7III, you're gonna find a performance there a little similar, if not a bit better. Now, when I was shooting with the Sony a7R III and the a7 III, I really didn't notice the autofocus performance differ by that much. I didn't notice if one was faster than the other, even though the Sony a7 III has more autofocus points, 693 versus 425. I felt like they both grabbed focus in both photo and video fairly quickly. Now on paper, of course, the Sony a7 III covers a larger real estate on the screen compared to the Sony a7R III, but for the most part, in terms of grabbing focus, the speed and all that, I really didn't notice a difference. Next up is battery, and batteries have always been the Achilles heels of the Sony Alpha mirrorless cameras. If you shot on the Sony a6000, a7R II, a7S II, you're probably juicing out 4 to 5 batteries per shoot. I personally myself have to carry like 13 batteries with me. Not 13, that's crazy. 9 batteries. 9 batteries is still pretty crazy for a video shoot, and we would have to constantly keep charging the batteries throughout the day. On a wedding day, we have to like fight for outlets, fight those people with the iPhone chargers to make sure that we have a spot to charge our batteries. But ever since Sony introduced the new FZ100 batteries for the Sony a9, the newer Sony a7 series have been getting that same treatment. The bigger battery, of course, did make the camera body slightly bigger, but honestly, it's still a lot more compact compared to other bigger DSLRs. This past weekend, I shot a wedding, 4K 24 frames per second, only had to swap out battery just once. I pushed the first battery down to 4%, and I honestly could have probably squeezed out another 5, 10, 15 minutes out of that battery before I had to switch, but having to switch just one battery in an 8-hour wedding day, that's pretty insane. That is a massive improvement over the 2 series cameras. And not once did I have to charge a single battery. So battery department, battery life department is very solid. I'd say at least have 3 of those batteries per camera. Those should last you well over a day. Next up I want to talk about is the 4K video quality. Now, my favorite thing about the Sony a6500 is of course the video quality. It oversamples the 4K footage, so it's shooting in 6K in a 4K composition, so you're getting crispier details whenever you shoot with the Sony a6500. I'm very jealous of the footage that comes out of 6500 compared to my Sony a7R II. So now they have that same feature in the Sony a7III and the Sony a7 So we're getting that crispier quality, crispier details, crispier footage in a full frame body. So I'm very, very happy about that. The one thing that does bug me about the 4K video is that if you shoot in 30 frames per second, it does have that pretty hefty crop. Now, I don't often shoot in 4K 30, so it doesn't bug me that much. For yesterday's wedding, for that particular wedding, my first shooter wanted to have 4K 30, so that's why I shot in it. So it was kind of difficult to have to back up an extra distance to get the shot. So if you are someone who shoots 4K 30 very often, just be mindful of the crop. Now, you won't experience that crop on the Sony a7R III or the A9, but with the a7 III, for whatever reason, does have that pretty hefty crop. Again, since I don't shoot 4K 30 that often, it doesn't bug me that much. I'm a type of person who shoots 4K 24 for the most part, and for anything slow motion, I shoot in 1080p 60. Now, of course, I did wanted the Sony a7 III to have 4K 60, but honestly, all of us are kind of thinking right now that Sony's saving that for the Sony a7S III. So yes, if you want to shoot any sort of slow motion, 1080p 60 or 1080p 120 would be your best bet, and no, there's not any sort of cropping when you shoot in 1080p 120 frames per second. Alright, so the next topic of interest, the question that I've been getting a lot on my Instagram DM is, does the Sony a7 III overheat? And the answer is no. I was in Mexico the first week of April, super humid out there, mid-80s every day, out shooting in the hot sun 3 to 4 hours a day, and not once did the overheating indicator came on. Now, this is a Sony a7 III. Now, this copy of the Sony a7 III came from my Sony tech rep, so it was his Sony a7 III. It never came on. Now, I got my Sony a7 III, shot a wedding with it, sat in the hot sun for 45 minutes, mid-80s, high noon, 4K, shooting in 4K, overheating indicator did not come on as well. It was a champ, it tanked it, it survived, it did not overheat. Now, the camera did feel warm, of course, because of the sun. It was sitting out in the sun, but it never felt too hot to touch. Now, I do want to be clear though, I do have the auto power temperature on the camera set to high, and that's something that you do want to have it on high when you're doing any sort of long form recording. Now, what that feature does is pretty much set the heat tolerance on your camera a little higher, so when a camera does feel warm, it wouldn't shut off on you. So again, something that you do want to set on high if you're doing any sort of long form recording. Last huge topic of interest is the low light. Yes, it's exactly what everybody is saying on the internet. The low light on the Sony a7 III is fantastic, and I honestly didn't want to believe them until I actually shot a few photos with the Sony a7 III. So these 2 photos right here that I took in Mexico was shot 3200 ISO, 6400 ISO with a bit of video light kind of lighting my subject, and the background just looks so damn clean. I have even pushed this footage right here to 12,800. Yeah, it looks a little mushy, but honestly, if I was caught dead in a situation where there's not enough lighting or I really have to push my ISO to that high, it doesn't look bad. It honestly still looks good. It's very usable. So I'm very happy with the low light performance on the Sony a7 III. I honestly felt like this was an A7S II with the A7R III or A9's autofocus system. So I'm very impressed with the A7 III. So far, I think this is probably the best hybrid camera on the market right now. So on a full frame level, this would be the best hybrid hybrid camera to get on the market that does great stills and great videos. Sony a6500 is still the best hybrid camera on an APS-C level. So guys, that was my quick first impressions of the Sony a7 III. Again, in about a couple of weeks, I'll have a full user experience review on the Sony a7 III as well as the Sony a7R III. So please look forward to that. Drop in the comments down below if you got the a7 III and how you felt about it. Or if you haven't gotten it yet, let me know in the comments down below what you want to see in the user experience review. The links to this camera is in the description box below. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.